Let me know if you guys can hear me in there. GME. Well, it's awfully interesting. Um, I think there's a lot of people that are going to have to start covering soon. Probably already have. I mean, this here tells me 138% short float, which kind of odd, but I've seen that before. I don't know how accurate that is. Check another website, but look at that beautiful cup. The only thing is you have a big divergence here. Look at that RSI starting to move down. Um, got a red bar ignore here though. I don't know. It's a nice looking chart. Quite the run though. I mean, look, a couple months ago, here just over $5. You know, tripled in price in a few months. Cup and handle. I mean, cup handle. Declining volume. That's what I think of it. I think I won't be betting my money on it, but wouldn't blame someone if they did. You're gonna have to get through that to really make a difference. So, the the one thing that really keeps me for two things that keep me from it is you got this orange line here, bump, 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 3 days in a row, and it was resistance here, so 4 out of 6 days, and that divergence in RSI. That's my 2 cents for it. I'm guessing that's a game or something they came out with. Oh, earnings report. Oh, I didn't even realize I had earnings today. I steer clear of anything having earnings. Um, I have their earnings ever not missed? Let's say at earnings post market. Oh, look at that. I mean, down post market. Let's take a look. Let's bring up post market here. And we'll bring it on a 15-minute time frame. Look at that. They got that big pop, that big pop. Why anybody bets on earnings, I'm not sure. But I mean, if you bring this chart up, let's put it on a weekly chart. I mean, you know, back to 2019 before you see these levels. So I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm breaking a big downtrend here. I mean, I'm not a trend line kind of person, but let's draw one for fun. You know, however you want to line that up, it's kind of subjective, but point being is, you know, strong base here. Over a year, that base was built, moving up out of the basement. And bottom line is, people are going to be stuck home more than they're going to be out, especially the winter months. And who knows what happens in the spring with this whole virus thing. So, a lot more video games. And on the weekly chart, I mean, you do have a positive RSI movement with the weekly chart. So, that's my magic trick for that. Someone out there has a question about the platform or the software, let me know. I'm happy to answer any and all questions as far as trade ideas itself goes. For that question regarding DFCO, I have absolutely no comment on that. Not something I would ever look at. 14-cent stock. So, I mean, all power to anybody that likes to play things like that. Not my cup of tea. I kind of shy away from anything under $5, to be honest. Actually, I probably kind of shy away from things under seven more. Not that I won't trade them, but just not my cup of tea. That's all. Sorry, didn't realize I was muted. For Chewy, I mean, I think you're going to depend more on whatever their guidance was. I didn't read the earnings report. I mean, that's pretty whippy. Almost 84 after hours, or 83 and 83.60, something like that, and 76 down to 76, just above 76. I mean, it's a pretty big spread running back and forth there. But got a nice little trend that had been running up until this earnings today. So, oh, Chris, well, yeah, well, when he passed, I got a lot of those. That's for sure that summer. So, I mean, Steve and Andy will be along in, I don't know, 7 minutes or so. Like I said, any questions, throw them out there. Yeah, of course. What I'll use for stock. I don't really use any outlet for news, to be honest. I mean, I use Thinkorswim to trade through at the moment. I'm actually doing a beta test that links trade ideas with Thinkorswim right now. So, but I don't really care about news, to be honest. Generally speaking, I feel like once the news hits out, there's already a quote unquote inside group of people that have made a move on that news, and everybody else is chasing after that. So the only thing I like to know about the news afterwards is it sustainable news, or is it a sell the news? If it's a phase one bio stuff, then who the hell cares? if it's FDA approved, then that matters. Like, this was something I held for a couple days here. So I was in and out of this for a couple days on a hold here. I bought on the close here last Friday, sold it aftermarket. I sold the last of it aftermarket yesterday. And while I do believe that's solid news from the FDA, you just don't know when these people are going to do financing. So, I'm not going to hold it for them to do a financing and crush the position that I had just worked. So, um, but I wouldn't even know for news outlet like our news that comes through here on the single stock window. It's just generic YouTube, not YouTube, generic Google. So same thing, YouTube, Google, whatever. Um, but I don't think you're gonna find, I don't think you're gonna find anything much faster than, um, the news that's gonna come out through your regular trading apps, like Thinkorswim or IB. Um, I just like as a personal 2 cents as far as news and whatever goes. I like to trade things that aren't booming with volume, if you will. I like a more quote unquote easy and relaxed trade. I mean, I know if there's such a thing, but that's kind of where I am for as far as news and stuff like that goes. Is anybody in here a Trade Idea subscriber, or you guys are just checking it out? Hey, Kevin, how are you? I'm doing all right. Broadcast a webinar for Steve and Andy today. Give them a little more traffic. YouTube plug. Other than that, just hanging out before they get started the next couple minutes, answer questions that people might have on the platform here. Uh, I mean, you can trade it through IB's paper account. You can also use our paper account. I mean, just keep in mind the one thing you cannot account for paper trading is, she gets things that have a big spread. So it's tough to account for that kind of real world slippage on things like that. But you eventually will need an IB account with the premium subscription to do that. Yes. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is you need live data from IB as well, because for some reason IB thinks they need to charge for data still. Yeah, of course. So, all right, I'm gonna move this over. I'm gonna mute myself because looks like they're about to get started here in a second, and I'm gonna turn the audio on for you to hear them. And
The webinar will begin
if
shortly.
anybody has
Please
questions at the
remain on
end
the
here, I
line.
might stick around for a minute or two.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. It's just about time to get started with this week's Trade of the Week webinar.
The broadcast is now starting.
Before we get
All
going, let me know in the
attendees are
questions
in
panel if we
listen-only mode.
can. You
Hey
can
everyone,
hear
thanks
us
for
and see that
joining
first
us.
slide
It's just
already.
about time to get started with this week's Trade
Thanks,
of the Week
Todd.
webinar.
Thanks, Daniel.
Broadcast
All
is
right.
starting.
Thanks,
All
friends.
Let me know in the
attendees are
questions
in
panel.
Randy,
listen-only
Jan,
mode.
all of you.
You can hear us.
So before we get started, we
asked
asked a question before the afternoon webinar. It's up on your screen now. Please click the appropriate reply. Do you currently have an active subscription with us? Yes or no? Just let us know.
So before we get started,
I'll take the opportunity while you're voting to remind you that you're muted. You need to use the questions panel to ask questions. So feel free to do so. If you want to see something demonstrated during the presentation, you might want to wait until the presenters are taking questions from the audience. Otherwise, just ask away.
feel free to do so.
So it looks like most in the room already have a subscription with us. If you are thinking about it, you want to sign up. We do give out a discount code later on in the webinar, so stay tuned for that. You can save some bucks. Quick follow-up for the subscribers. Are you on regular trade ideas or premium trade ideas? If you're not familiar with the difference, premium is the version that gives you access to the AIs, the backtesting tools, the ability to auto-trade AI strategies with the Super Broker, open extra charting windows, access to RBIG AI plans to backtest those kinds of good things.
The ability to auto-trade AI strategies.
Thanks for participating. Let me share that out. So it looks like most in the room that are subscribers already have premium. If you decide you want to do that upgrade, just grab that same code we give out later on. I'll save you some cash on your first installment of your upgrade. So your hosts, as usual, on Tuesdays are, let me find that poll also. Take that away from the screen, are Steve Gomez and Andy Linlaw. So we're going to record this webinar and have the recording up later on tonight or tomorrow. And you will get an email tomorrow from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist where you can find it on our YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Looks like I need to reopen my questions panel because that disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and kick off the recording and let Steve and Andy take over. Hey, guys. How was Tuesday?
Hi, good. Thanks, Scott. Hey, everybody. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Steve. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody. How are you today?
All right, we're doing good. Let's get into it. Got a little bit of December content for you, maybe about 40 minutes worth. So even before I get into the slides, let's do an old-fashioned tease. If you're thinking about leaving early, you might not want to. We got a new 2021 product feature that I'm going to kind of skim over. Maybe going to be very interesting to a few people, I think. So before we get to that, Trade of the Week disclaimer, just a reminder, we are a software as a subscription company. Myself and Andy are employees, but we're also traders of our own account, our own retirement accounts. And anything we talk about here is really just our opinion. It's not to be construed as financial advice. So all good there. We've been doing it 17 years with Trade Ideas, myself and Andy. And we know the program like the back of our hand, inside and out. but not so much for everybody else who signs up and starts hitting the ground with it. It's an intense program, and it takes a little while to learn. You know, a few days of a little bit of effort to try and figure out what it is you want to get out of the program. Whether you're a low float, short squeeze scalper, or you like to go short, or you want to swing trade for a few days, you want to slow things down, we can show you how to do that using our platform. You just got to kind of figure out the time frame and the type of trader you want to be. So in that period of time, we've got a lot of ways to try and help you fit the program to your needs and also shorten that learning curve for you. Primarily, it's the live trading room with Barry every day from bell to bell for the most part. But myself, I did it today. Andy will do it Friday. The other guys on the other days of the week at noontime will come in and give Barry a break and do whatever you guys want to talk about. That's really our main daily support webinar, where you can come in and say, look, I'm trying to build a scan. I don't know if he's here today. I forgot the name. I'm sorry, but somebody came in and asked about building a certain type of scan. And it's just one of those things that opens up a whole new channel of ideas. That was a great way of displaying the power of trade ideas. Somebody else's request opened up the eyes of a lot of other people to a certain type of filter that's available to them. So it's always a great place to come and learn. And that takes place every day at noon Eastern on our YouTube channel. You know, if you're on the YouTube dashboard, it already knows, and you've already been there once to that session. The YouTube algorithms know who you are, know what time it is, and they'll point you in the right direction. It's pretty easy to find. But otherwise, if you're a first-time visitor for that, just go to the trade-ideas.com/live down there at the bottom. It will redirect you to that page. So we'll start off here with the usual requisite slide. We like to remind people that technology is great, but it needs a human touch as well. You know, the AI serves up some interesting real-time ideas for trade entries, but the human being really, as we see it, is able to manage the trade and exit the trade better because of all the real-time nuances that are coming at us that the AI doesn't really have. So it's a symbiotic relationship, man and machine working together. One really can't do it without the other. All right, as I said, kind of a holiday December webinar today. I don't really have anything new that really struck me as a light bulb moment that we should talk about to teach as a feature or a concept or a trading education. We're just going to kind of keep it simple today. We'll do the market recap, a simple AI recap. The trade of the week, obviously, well, not obviously, but that's not the word I was looking for, didn't trigger this week. That's kind of a new thing. Usually we've been getting some nice triggers on Monday and Tuesday. This one's being a little fickle. So we'll talk about that and the angle that approaches to that for Gilead, G-I-L-D. And then as I mentioned, I'm going to tease a new product probably coming to you guys in the new year. It's pretty cool. You know, the data behind it is anyway. And then we'll finish up as usual with any chart requests, or if I see any alerts as we go through, maybe we'll set a couple of alerts. Don't really have anything on my notepad that I need to look at, but you never know in real time, we might find something. So as we get to the end of the program here, you're also welcome any questions, of course, related to the trade ideas. You know, as I said today, that one question really opened up a really good concept channel to other ideas. So we'll finish up with some chart requests and some questions and just kind of tap dance our way out. All right, so let's get on with the by the way, this one, just some of you guys know how I was loving X way back here and just being so patient with it. And I snatched, a couple dollars out of the jaws of this. Didn't see that coming. You want to talk about fear of missing out? That'll do it right there. All right, so we're going to go to the S&P 500 and talk about the market in general. Not much has changed from yesterday, except our little pattern. I'm a code breaker, Andy, right? You see the code? Doji, green bar, Doji, green bar, Doji, green bar.
Ah, I do.
Yeah.
You are a code breaker.
What the hell's going on out there? I don't know, but it's just light volume, typical holiday trading. Light volume indicated by, look at that declining volume. We are well below our averages as well, but volume doesn't matter, only price matters. But at some point, I feel like, this is the musical chairs market where we can just get rid of, 6 or 7 good up days with one fell swoop, just like we did back here And back here, oh, that was a good one back there. Let's go take a look at that one. I feel like we're kind of in this area right here, guys. Just to look back and see, oh, how to get so fat. That's where I feel like we are right now, for the most part. There's really no bear case to be made. If you're going home short, you're really guessing, or you're hedging. You're hedging your longs, something we've been known to do. Otherwise, it's just kind of, are you in the right stuff that's moving higher? There's really no bear case to be made. And at some point, we're going to have another red bar that's going to pop in here. But until that happens, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Until that happens, there's no reason to be short. There's no resistance above. Every new high that we put is a new market high, new all-time high. The IWM, if we check in over there with the Russell, is still outperforming. We noticed and started talking about it a couple of weeks ago that the small caps, and it makes sense if you were in the electric vehicles and the alt energy plays. November was a real big month for the small caps, just going nuts. Really, really a big month. And so the IWM is still kind of playing a leadership role here. Very impressive. I thought there was a case to be made yesterday in the VXX, but it totally blew up today. So there's no point in even talking about that. I went through the sectors earlier today for those that were with me in the noontime hour, and every sector in there just looks either consolidating and ready to go or has already gone. The fear index, the fear and greed index, I think I last saw was at 93, 95%. That should throw up some caution when that happens. Recall last week we did look at the RSI. I could pull that up again, but it's not quite as definitive as it was last week. So just a lot of mixed signals out there, guys. There's no real alarm to be rung. We're in clean air up here. They're much different than it was back here as we were kind of meandering through the twisted moving averages. But now the bulls have said, hey, we're in control again. And all of you that want to get in this market, you got to chase to get in it. If you don't want to chase to get in it, you got to wait for a pullback. Personally, and I know Andy's probably in the same boat. I mean, I'm more than 50% in cash, just kind of waiting to see what happens. November was a really good month, and I hate to want to give all that back just for fear of missing out. So I've never been one to get caught up in the fear of missing out, because just about that time that you decide to capitulate and jump in and buy right here, it just seems like the trading gods and the golf gods are one and the same. They want to serve that up there the next day to you. So I'm just going to wait for my pitch, to use a sports analogy. What your thoughts on any of that, Andy?
Yeah, there's nothing, not a whole lot to add. What I would like to see, Steve, is let's put the RSI in there and see if we're still seeing any divergence.
I did it last night, and it's not. So you're going to see that it's really not as definitive as it was last week. See that? Now it's just kind of creeping higher again.
Yeah, but still nowhere near.
But still nowhere near, if you want to draw that line.
Yeah, exactly.
The big one. We can even go and look at the NASDAQ too and the Qs and see, there's still some divergence compared to that last one back here. Mm-hmm. But nothing that I'm really going to like hang a hat on and say that's glaring, because it's kind of working itself out of the system there. Nope. And yes, Dave, my ship finally came in an X, and I now I'm just watching it sail off into the sunset without me.
That's the way it happens, man.
Remember trade of the week, Cliff. We can't forget about that. Trade of the week, CLF. I'm sure there's somebody still out there that didn't get scared out of this stuff. But yes, Dave, thank you.
Oh yeah, that's like my brother. I'll give him something, and I'm out of it in 2 weeks, and I talked to him 3 years later, and he's still.
Should I get out now? Right.
All right, I'll take it.
So yeah, go ahead and take it back over, Andy. There's just not a whole lot that's changed really in the last week.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the Holly AI today. And on the surface, it looks like it was a pretty ho-hum day. If you look over here in the channel, which is based on buying 100 shares of every alert, you'll see that a couple of negative segments there, and then Holly AI had a nice, $110 gain to erase that plus some. But that's only on the surface, guys. There's always something to glean from this, and I think it was funny that we had the market to go up all day, but these all finished stronger in conservative mode, which means you take the exit that Holly presented to you in real time. So I did want to point out, guys, if you look right here, let me draw it up for you, the conservative profit, there's some nice percentage gains right here. So there was definitely some opportunity if you're trading Holly today. You did have, let's see, one half were winners and one half were losers. But let's draw them up here and just take a look at a couple of the ones that did very well here. The EH was a very nice call for about 45 minutes, and you can see the target was hit on this one, and you had a nice percentage gain of 7%, a little over 7%. But as Jamie would say, if you didn't take those cookies, you saw it erased over the next 45-minute stretch. So. And I tell you what, anytime I look at a chart like this and I'm buying it on the second day, I am going to be quick to take profits. I mean, you're just asking for something, buying something that's, basically doubled over the last couple of weeks, to continue to go for it. And you can see, obviously, the sellers came in and took opportunity of that, big gap and move this morning. Another one, I think Michael jumped in, and our little fun today was GoGo. And boy, beautiful buy right there. Okay, it opened up and seemed like a chase at the time, but let's look what's happening over here on the daily chart. Okay, there's a buy signal. You draw a line. It did have a couple of wicks it needed to get through, but overall the body's there. And with the momentum, the relative volume behind it, it was able to push this thing much higher for basically, basically an hour long. And Holly did exit late. I mean, the percentage that she got on her exit was 6%, but you can see here from 11 all the way up to about almost 13, there was some extra, definitely some extra meat on that bone had you gotten out earlier on that one. OCNT, another one where it was a good call here. A buy, didn't get anywhere near the stop. I'm not sure why the stop was so, I guess all the volatility it's had over the last couple of days, the movement. So a pretty liberal stop there. But nonetheless, it followed the 10-period moving average there, textbook to a textbook, and moved higher. And another one that this was actually a timed exit, okay, near the end of the day. So that was a 6% winner. So if you were playing some of these and going for percentage moves, playing more, obviously, than what I had here, 200 shares basically each, you could have done very well on some of these trades here. But I'm not going to pound ourselves on the back, because overall it was kind of, I don't want to call it ho-hum, but there were some losers in there. And for some reason, Tuesday, it's been doing great, but for some reason it doesn't like Tuesday, probably because me and Steve have to do a webinar, talk about it.
Yeah. And it was so nice of the AI to just put X and US Steel in front of my face.
Yeah. And actually Steve and I both cringed, because it's not something we would chase way up here, but. And
then when I told Brad, I told Brad that in DM, Brad says, that's why the AI is not emotional. Mm-hmm. That was his response. Yep. The AI has no emotions.
No, it's just, following the money.
All
right, Steve, I'll shoot it back to you.
Okay. All right. Yes, Dave, I could have called Tesla 3 weeks in a row, but, people are enjoying, or they were enjoying, trying to find stocks under 30. I know Barry likes that too, and his whole room likes that as well. So, which is a good lead in. We really couldn't find anything that was looking good under 25 or under 30 this week. And, this week was a collaboration. It was Andy's idea. And the point is, as I mentioned in the body of the article, notice the shape of this right there, okay? And remember what I was just talking about a minute ago. My biggest fear is the musical chairs when the music ends, right? You can just give so much back so quickly and so easily. And when you're playing charts that look like this, they are just as merciless on the way down as the S&P and the Qs would be, if not probably to the tune of double. If the S&P gets hit for 3 or 4%, your stocks are probably going to get 8 or 7%. It's just the way it works. So in the interest of trying to corral an idea, the 40,000 foot idea this week, and not look for stock charts that were momentum plays like this, Andy brought up on the scan that he has, revenue growth fishing had shown up there a couple times, and I saw it. And here's what I saw. Let me go back. There we go. I saw this on Friday going into the weekend. You see how we had 1, 2, 3 rejections, and then a nice, happy, definitive close on highs with a green candle above this declining 50-day moving average, which had been just frustrating the price forever, you know. And I even mentioned again today in the noon webinar that the blue line, the 50-day moving average, is really just a quick eyeball looking at a chart saying, that chart's under pressure, or that chart's, let me rephrase that. That chart's either being defensive or it's looking okay. It's either not that healthy or it's healthy, however you want to slice it. So once we got this definitive kind of change in the weather here, a possible change in direction. And this is what this scan is designed to do. There it is right there. And I'll be happy to give it out because I know somebody's going to want it. So this was derived at some point last week on this scan. And I'm going to paste that right now into the chat window, the cloud link anyway, for those that want to receive it. It's looking for stocks that have revenue growth on the balance sheet, but technically are starting to show some signs of life and basing. So if these work, then great, they work. We want them to work, and it might, be a level right here. Look left, and maybe this is an interesting target just to kind of thumbnail it. But if the market did do what we don't want it to do and does pull the rug out, and we do get that nasty collapse, this one probably won't have that much of a dastardly, vicious pullback because it's already occurred. So it's kind of a defensive play this week. Now, that's the backdrop behind it. The story is it hasn't triggered. Why didn't it trigger? Well, here's one of the things that I wanted to really touch on today. And I talked about it. Okay, you regular guys, I talked about it, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. What do these algorithms like to do? They like to just push the price around. And if they're in the area, they're going to knock on the door and see what happens and see who answers. Well, one of the things I did not want to do is say, okay, we're going to put the price of let's lower this and put the blue line right above a penny above Friday's high. That would make sense, but I'm at least learning after enough times that algorithms might want to just reach up there and try and pick you off. So maybe we should just, in the interest of a swing trade time frame, wait for a little bit more confirmation. And that's where our entry was. And what did the damn algorithms do on Monday? They did exactly what we talked about. They took out that high by a penny and never looked back. So if we had called this, technically that would have been our trigger. And I just hate it when that happens. Now, for those who might have been adept at really wanting to keep an idea on the books, I know a few people around Trade Ideas that took an entry down here yesterday and they're still sitting with it. That's one way to play it, or maybe just wait for the blue line to trigger. Now, the way Michael calculates it when he does these analysis, if the trade of the week doesn't calculate by the close of Friday, it becomes a null trade. Now, you guys can handle it however you want. Andy mentioned earlier, he feels like it actually might trigger tomorrow or the next day. So, you're welcome to play it. But I think you understand the wisdom behind it now as to why we selected something that looked like this, a lot safer, rather than trying to chase something, in small cap land that's just been exploding higher and just asking for a pullback. All right. Anything you want to add to the trade of the week thought?
No. I actually bought it on the first day. When it came down to those moving averages. So in a little bit of it, and then wait to see if it triggers and buy some more. But
bring that back up because we're talking about it. Yep, and Brad also did that too. So you'll have a running head start if it does in fact trigger tomorrow, and if the market does not follow through, then this should be a rather safe play. So.
I think so.
Dave says he thinks there's going to be an elevator failure by Thursday. Christine Lagarde is talking about reason for the market. Yeah, there's always a reason for the elevator drop. It's usually more technical than anything. You get that many people with profits that they want to book, and they're all looking at each other to try and see who's going to blink first. What I don't want to be in, and we talked about it, I think, last week, and Andy's been in, it's just no fun, is when the market breaks and you're over leveraged on a stock like on a market that looks like this. And you come in, next thing you know, the market gaps down about here, and you can't even get out of your stuff before the market's down here. It hurts. It's no fun. I'd rather just kind of protect the fun little November that we've had and just kind of wait for my next pitch, because I've been around long enough to know that when things get really good, they can turn really quickly because you don't get as disciplined as you were on the ride up. You start breaking rules and getting a little sloppy and thinking that everything is going to work. Dave fully agrees. All right, so doing good on time. Let's move over to what I want to tease, and that is a new product. Michael, our resident admitted data nerd, has come up with something that I think is interesting, and it's going to be a new price point product. And let me talk a little bit about that. Andy and Michael earlier in the year created the score, and the score is a composite rating that's proprietary to Trade Ideas, and it's made up of a long stringed algorithm that's about 70% technical and 30% fundamental. And Michael, not really caring much for fundamental, being a data guy and a chart guy, he said, well, let me see if I can take this to the next level. What he did is he's writing kind of an in-house program using our back-end stuff to find a different level. You can score turbo, score 2.0, if you will, and it basically throws out the fundamental stuff. And the concept behind what he's trying to do is to identify the 5 strongest stocks based on this new scoring he calls each week. And each Monday, that will be presented in a list form. Let me go to this one. I'm borrowing his slides from a presentation. All right. So the product would look something like this: stock ranking. And the top 5 each week wind up being in the hypothetical portfolio. So what people would be subscribing to is essentially the data feed showing Monday night, here's the new 5 stocks that we're going to rotate into. And in doing that, let me just kind of define some of his method there. You know, he's trying to find stocks that have a high score versus the S&P. So these are always going to be stocks that are outperforming the major indexes. And he's trying to define strength. Well, how do you define strength? You got to define what your time frame is. Day trader and a swing trader and investor are 2-3 totally different things. You got to define what's your anchor point. You know, are we anchoring from down here to up here? Or are we anchoring from the beginning of the year? It all depends on where your anchor point is. So Michael has devised a way to try and identify individual stock names that will come out on a list that will be subscribed to, something like this, and it will be a product. Maybe, you know, most people, I shouldn't say, let me back up. There are some people that have told us, you know, I have a second job or a third job, and I don't have time to download the Windows version and sit at my desk all day and play the stuff as it comes out. I need something a little bit more geared for portfolio rebalancing or just kind of a slower cooking type of methodology. And so that's what Michael's trying to really derive and come up with here, and find 5 stocks that each Monday you can allocate in your portfolio. And then we're just going to start to have some assumptions here. All right. Assumptions that he has basically back tested what he's come up with. And as it relates to, you know, our market in white, and we've had a pretty decent market over the last 3 years. But this, and again, it's compounding. We'll talk about that. This would be what you would have done if you were following and rotating each 5 stocks each Monday night and changing week over week and not rebalancing, but reshuffling the names. And most importantly, as he said, it is compounded, meaning reinvesting your winners, which is what you really should be doing anyway. And that is the kind of thing we would look at in his data. He also came back on a weekly basis. You know, your worst weeks were maybe 2.5% on the downside, but we've got more positive weeks than negative weeks and a couple of big ones up here. So that's the data that he's playing with as well. Lastly, there's just one more thing he wanted me to show, and it's slide number 9. He said, it'll be presented like this. You'll have 5 different stock charts each night as well, and you can click and do what we call an analysis. There we go. And it takes us to one of our old legacy pages called the Tiki, and it basically takes a symbol, in this case ALGN, and looks at it from every different possible angle, how it relates to different time frames and things like that. So a lot of new, interesting, cool things that might be on the horizon as it relates to the here we go, the stuff that Michael's been working on. And did I miss anything, Andy? I know you're kind of involved in this too, or you've been following along.
No. I actually, this is, I've seen little bits and pieces of it, but this is the first time I've seen the whole presentation. Well, I guess I didn't see the whole presentation, but no, it looks interesting. It sounds like a lot of the things that you know, he and I put together,
Exactly.
but he just, taking out the fundamental, which I understand if you're looking for more alpha, why you would do that for sure.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting.
And that's what he's trying to present, is the analysis that in the end, the data does show that if you compound this, it's going to be a tremendous outperformance. So keep an eye out for this coming in the new year. Should be cool. Michael's stock picking methodology. Yes, Michael has a fan, and Kevin. Will this be a weekly? It'll be a weekly list, Randy. As I understand it, it'll come out Monday night. So all of that history and all that back testing that Michael did was pulling the top 5 stocks from that scan, using your investment. So 20%, I would imagine, of capital applied to each one of those, and then rebalancing the following Monday night. And as you saw, you're not going to be a happy camper every week, but it's going to work out in the long run. Data doesn't lie.
I got a good question here, Steve, that will eat up some time. Jim, right there, he's talking about the default VWAP. Maybe you can just kind of go over the VWAPs that we have, because I think a lot of people get confused by the VWAP 1, the VWAP 2, and
Sure.
The default VWAP is, I think, an intraday VWAP. But
yeah, so let's do that. Like if I was to take something like, let's just do Tesla. Okay, and we take. This is unrelated, but I'm going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's do coming into today. There's 5-day VWAP. There's our 4-day VWAP. I'm going to make a point here. I don't expect you to follow this. 3-day VWAP and 2. So we've got basically VWAP filters that now go out to 5 days. When we go back to our configuration menu, I assume this is what you're referencing. And if we search the keyword VWAP, okay. Our filters are in blue or in purple and blue. So we have 2 different batches of 5 sets. We've got the distance from VWAP. So where is the current price in relation to VWAP 1? This is going to be today's VWAP. Where is distance in today's price versus the VWAP from 5 days? So you're basically getting 5 different anchor points for trailing VWAPs. To use the today's VWAP, you're going to use the distance from VWAP 1. This is just a data point. So if I wanted to go into my single stock window, I could literally put in a column for each one of these, and it would give me the data point as to what the actual price is for the 3-day VWAP or the 5-day. So most people are going to want to use the distance from VWAP 1 or the value of VWAP 1 in terms of filtering and scanning. Did I hit it right, or am I missing something?
No, you hit it very right. But the alerts are looking at the intraday VWAP, which I would assume would be the same as VWAP 1.
Yes, so it would be VWAP 1. It would be this one.
I'll scroll up to the alerts is what I'm talking about. Crossed above VWAP, that's going to be the same, I think, as VWAP 1. It's looking at intraday VWAPs.
I agree with you. That would be my agreement as well, yes. Not 100% certain, but I'm choosing my words wisely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably 95% certain. So, Jim, it looks like it answers his question. Good.
Yeah. How can we get the list, and will it be shared Monday? Go, Tom. It'll be a new feature coming in the new year. So it's nothing that I have, but if you're a subscriber, you'll have access to it, and we'll talk a lot more about it when it's launched. I'm just kind of giving you guys a little preview for those people that might want to do something like that, to know that that's coming. And it's just another way in which we're using our technology to kind of create new products. Gantry, I know you probably cannot answer this, but any news on the TD turn on? It's going to be turned on, but I don't have a date, and I can't even get our developers to have a date. But we hear that TD Ameritrade is up and running, and we are testing it live right now. So it's literally on. The lights are on, and we're clanging the bells and whistles over there. It's just a matter of when the working version comes out, but they are first in line, and they are the ones that are like coming along quickest.
Mm-hmm. I know Dan, our CEO, is pushing sometimes in the beginning of the year, and I know he's hoping for January, but there's no way we would tell you it's going to be there in January. But that's just what he's hoping for. So we'll have to wait and see.
So the product I just went over, Dave, it'll be obviously inclusive for, the big subscriptions, but I think it'll be a new standalone product for somebody at the lower price point who just wants that. Isn't that the kind of perfect thing that you could start getting to come across your phone? I think that's where their mind is headed. The simplicity and mobile stuff for the bigger picture, that's where that product, that concept that we just showcased could really, really start to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Volunteer to be the user. Yeah, we've got a couple testers, but thank you. That's right. You can always send an email if we're looking for more. You never know if we might want a group of beta testers with a TD Ameritrade. That would probably they'd probably take you up on that. I don't think I've missed any questions there. So guys, as I had mentioned, we can finish up here today with some charts. If you want to look at a few. I really don't have any alerts or anything that's screaming at me that I'm keeping my eye on right now. I'm just in kind of a weird mode. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, you haven't been through the sectors in a while. You want to take a look at those, or?
Sure, we can do. I'll go through the sectors real quick, and then if somebody has a price chart they want me to look at, we can take a look.
Strong there.
You might want to let Rakesh know about. You want to make sure you don't have this pinned window. If you have this checked for pinned, Rakesh, you're going to get duplicate alerts. You want to unpin those and resave your layout with no duplicate windows. Because when you go to a channel bar and come back, if your pinned window is there, you're going to duplicate your pinned window every time.
Yes.
You know, when I went through this yesterday, Andy, I actually went through it today.
Okay. Don't worry. I was just throwing it out in case you.
But here's what I noticed as they send us some. We'll look at some charts. You guys send some charts and we'll look at them. But as I went through, everything is just either consolidating, looking good, or has already gone. You see, I mean, as I go through, they're either already gone or they're consolidating, looking ready to go. And it's a shame I'm not, more aggressive. But
I tell you what, go back to that IBB. I mean,
yes,
I
know.
This is why I think Gilead can be explosive. It happens because I really believe what happened is a lot of these big tech or these big biotech stocks is they lost a lot of their luster when at the beginning of this whole year. Let's face it, a lot of people have been throwing a lot of money at these vaccine companies, and so. That will start to dwindle out here pretty soon. And yeah, I'm really looking at that IBB chart. Man, if Gilead can't get it going here in the next couple of days, then it's done. Yeah.
That's a bona fide breakout, confirmed about a week and a half there. So yeah, you got the winds of the sector blowing at your back, hopefully, in that Gilead trade of the week, which I am not participating in.
Well, it may not be too late.
It might not be too late. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in tomorrow, Andy. All right, so we'll move on here to a couple last charts. First one is PRTK. Really beautiful, nice looking breakout from a few days back. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that if I see this going into the weekend, that's short list right there. The trade of the week. Every single time. That's about as sweet as you can try and imprint on if I can try and find setups that I'd look for all day long because they do that. Well, now that they've done that, that's kind of your move. You had a nice little 3-day move there, 3.5, and now we're just chopping back and forth. Pharmaceutical, strong again. We just kind of looked at that. There's no reason to get out. It just depends on what your time frame is. All I can really say is if you showed that to me, if it looked like this today, I would have been setting an alert and saying, thank you very much for showing me that because I would have liked to have seen that. And then would have been a nice breakout. Tesla for Dave. Hung up on Tesla. It's really, I was looking at that chart a minute ago and it's starting to get the P word. Starting to get the P word. Oh, 656. Parabolic is the P word is what I'm talking about.
That's crazy.
This thing has confounded me for a long time, and adding to the S&P 500 certainly didn't hurt. Looks beautiful, makes my case very easy when you see things break out of a strong wedge like that and run for days, pull back only to find and give you a second opportunity on the 10 period. Here you are. I mean, depends on what you want to do with it. I know an attorney friend of mine who's probably just been sitting this thing forever. God bless him. All right. Tesla, we did that, particularly as it approaches. Dave, it's already been priced in. The moment that it was announced, the weighting that they gave it to the S&P, it's already been priced in here. There's really nothing that's going to do on the day of. That's kind of a game that doesn't really exist, in my opinion. Everything's been arbitraged out, and all the inefficiencies have been squeezed out. LAZR. Okay, this is one of those this is one Dan was talking about. Yeah. This is from the SPAC. It was
hard to make sense of a new issue.
Hard to make sense of a new issue. Yeah. For something like that, I would just turn and go to the 15-minute chart. And we don't even have that's just not much to look at. So draw a little trend line there, I would say, with your eyeball, and don't let it break that. That's what I would say.
It's a tough one, yeah.
Let's see what else we got before we bring Scott in. I missed LCA. Would SPY go up significantly after December 20? We have no idea what's going to happen going forward. The market could be focused on something completely different by the time we get to September 20th. LCA, another parabolic move, not parabolic, but a really nice move. So this thing was at 11. It's more than doubled. I would never tell anybody to jump into a stock that's doubled. If anything, you should be probably taking profits. And another beautiful example again of buying off the 10-period moving average if you're going to be so inclined to try and play these things. My opinion of TRIP, except for that one day there, it's been riding the moving average pretty darn nicely. It's probably getting a bit of ahead of itself. I would wait for another day or two of consolidation if you were thinking about entering that.
Bernard asked about Rocket. I'd like to talk about this one because I'm in it, and and here's the reason I'm in it. If you zoom out just a little bit, it's not a bullish chart at all. As a matter of fact, it's bearish. But I started buying it right around 20 because look at Steve will maybe draw you this shoulder over here, and this is what I'm looking at. You see the left shoulder, and then maybe the head. Just draw a line under the left shoulder, and there you go. There you go. So I am in that as a starter position. Now, if it gets above those that 50-period moving average, I'll probably add to that position. I don't like set hard stops. Otherwise, I probably would have got stopped out the last couple of days. But I just kind of use an area. But I like the bottoming pattern, the potential for now it needs to move pretty quick. I don't want this to draw out. Then your shoulder is getting too long. But it's setting up pretty good for an upside down head and shoulders. So it's kind of unconventional. But a lot of times trades like this, I end up doing the best because you're catching the bottom of the move, and then when you do get that rip, you add to it, and then. Yes. I like bottom fishing. Yep.
Once you get that rip, you can feel comfortable adding that first day because you feel like you found the boat that's tipping and you ran to the right side of the boat first. All right, so let's skip backwards. I don't want to miss other people that got in line perfectly. SFIX for Todd. Big gap up today. Don't know what the news was. Looks like that was earnings. Just keep an eye on this rising 10-period moving average is going to come up to meet it. That's all I can say. It's tough to gauge what they're going to do once they gap up. The less that it gives back in the gap, the better. The more it'll hold, hopefully, when that moving average comes up to catch it. Then IGMS, somebody had asked about. Ooh, 2 solid, strong days.
Nice
Huh?
day today, man.
Yeah. Look at how it rode my intraday average, right? Same thing works on the intraday. Beautiful. So no reason to get out. Like if you were thinking about getting out and you were right here and you sold, you'd be upset because you didn't let it test and try and pass or fail there. And it was definitely a pass to stay in that trade. Boy, if you get a gap up tomorrow, I'd start thinking about maybe taking a little something off the table. I don't know what your time frames are, but that was a nice move. All right, we'll do 3 more. There's more than 3 in there, but we're going to end it after 3 here and we'll bring Scott in. So the next one would have been HLX. Nice trend moving higher. It's broken that downtrend of the 200-day. Energy starting to come back to life. I'm starting to like the energy sector a little bit. That's good looking. As long as it continues to just ride that higher, nothing wrong with a little consolidation there and maybe another move higher. You just don't want to see it close. If it closes below this moving average, it's going to have a date with this moving average down here. We did trip. Can you look at BLI, please? Looks like it's just bouncing nicely off of that, challengestocks.com. Right? Okay. It's about as textbook as you get. So not bad at all. We'll do 2 more. NEO and MTDR. NIO was a prior trade of the week. It's getting a little volatile. Here's what I don't like about NIO. It feels like it's on the other side of the mountain now. This moving average is curling over. It can't get back above the 20. It had a rejection wick there today. I'd be a little cautious. I think NIO might have a date with that 50 period.
I'm hoping it does. So I can get back in. Yeah.
It'll be there ready to buy like I'm waiting for X to do the same darn thing. MTDR. Another nice looking Matador. Okay, another energy stock looking the same. The energy stocks are looking good. If you're in some energy stocks, I think they're hanging strong. I hate to leave people out. K. Oh, I'm sorry to tell you, Jim. K does not look good. If that's the stock you want me to look at, does not look good. It looks very much under pressure. And then we'll finish with AMD, and then we can feel good that we got them all. AMD is let's see, it's running into resistance right there. Just keep an eye on the NASDAQ and the tech stocks. You can see why there's been selling the last 5 days. You just have to look left and see it. Two good scenarios is it works itself through that and moves higher, or it's going to fail. You're basically guessing at this point. It's up to you. All right, Scott, that's all the content we have for today. So I'll bring the slideshow back up and any announcements on the outs.
Yeah, that sounds good. Remember to grab that earnings ebook before we start promoting the new one. So go to trade-ideas.com/earnings. Just put in your email address to get the download, and it gives you some great strategies to employ to take advantage of whenever earnings seasons happen, and also some cloud links that you can use to import those strategies directly into your layout. There's a podcast. We got a new one that was out like last week or the week before, and it's a great interview with one of our new team members. It's very insightful. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your pods. Add us as a subscription. Check out the previous editions that we released this year. There's some really good interviews on there, so check that out. We've got a code, Holidays, saves you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas, or upgrade from standard to premium. So write that down, use it before it expires. And you can find Steve on Twitter at Today Trader. Also find us at Trade Ideas, and Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle to follow and like. And if you have any questions at all, or you want any of the scans that were shown during the presentation, just go to info@trade-ideas.com, send us an email, goes to our help desk, and you will get the support you need as quickly as possible. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, friends. Have a good afternoon.
All right, see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.